think about this program, I think about a standard of excellence that exists, right? That's pretty obvious. I think about Division I players that have come through here. I think about the playoff runs. I think about regional championships, district championships, consecutive. I mean, this program probably has had as much, if not more, success than every program on this campus. And that's saying a lot. Like Coach Clay said, if you can't, he was telling your parents, if you can't look at the culture of this program and be satisfied, you're not a competitor. Because you're what's left after probably one of the more difficult cuts. Is that a fair assumption to make, Coach?
Yeah.
And there's something to that, right? So you're here. You're who's left. But here's what I want to talk to you about. The problem with standards is it creates an expectation. The problem with excellence is it creates an expectation. There's the expectation that you're going to carry on the same legacy as the teams before you and the teams before them and the teams before them. You're going to be the Division I players. You're going to be the commits. You're going to be the signees. You're going to be the ones that take the standard to the next level, win regional championships, state Final Fours, state finals, hopefully win a ring, and put banners up because that's what every program wants to do. And you got as good a shot at anybody, as anybody on this campus. I promise you, you have as good a shot as anybody on this campus. But I want to talk about that for a second because with that comes a lot of expectation. And expectation sometimes equals pressure. And people handle pressure in different ways. So sometimes you try to do too much too early. Sometimes you try to take on too much and you lose balance. Sometimes you get frustrated. You get fractured in the locker room. You get different narratives. You get different complaints. Some of those things that Coach was talking about. And it becomes toxic. So one thing I can tell you for coaching, I don't even know how many head coaches I've worked underneath or played for. There are healthy cultures for programs, and there are toxic cultures for programs. And to create a healthy culture, you have to understand and embrace the standard that exists. And so what that means, though, is that there's a group collective to that, and there's an individual responsibility to that. And the individual responsibility is a consistent commitment to excellence. And those sound like fancy buzzwords from a coach, but what I mean is you have a responsibility not just to you, but to your teammates and to the standard that's been set in this program to take care of your business, to take care of your body, to make sure you get enough sleep, to make sure that you balance your academic schedule, to make sure that your club, your job, whatever it is that you do, you're not burning the candle at two different ends. And so when they need you out on the floor, you're at 100%. And you're a competitor and you want to do everything and you want to do it well. But you have to understand what your limits are. You have to create rhythms and balance in your life so that you can be the best when you're here. Right? Lou Holtz used to say, he had a big sign in his office, WIM, what's important now? When you're in class, that's the most important thing. When you're at practice, volleyball is the most important thing. When you're playing a game, that's the most important thing. When you're on the floor, your job is the most important thing. When you're not on the floor and you're on the bench, that's the most important thing. So when you get a fractured personal life, you got problems in your relationships, you got problems with your friends, you got problems in the classroom, you got problems with lack of sleep, all those things are now bleeding into the other aspects of your life. So now when you're supposed to be focused on your job, you're focused on your boyfriend, you're focused on your friend, you're focused on your academics. So take care of business, compartmentalize what you're supposed to so you can create a consistent commitment to excellence. But the next thing is that's all you can do. Focus on the things that are in your control. Right? I used to tell my athletes there's 3 things that are choices and 3 things I need from you. 3 things are the only thing we can ever ask from you. But they're all choices. And it's effort, attitude, and toughness. EAT, we used to say eat. Let's eat today. Effort, attitude, and toughness. Effort is a choice. Attitude is a choice. Believe it or not, toughness is a choice. It's a decision that you make. It's a consistent commitment to excellence for a greater cause than yourself. And that's when you carry the standard. Because the reality is this. You're talented enough to beat a lot of teams with a fractured locker room. You're talented enough to beat a lot of teams with a bunch of different agendas and a bunch of bleed over in a bunch of areas of your life. The problem comes when adversity hits. The problem comes when you get into a set that you lose, or back-to-back sets. The problem comes in district tournaments when you have to play on back-to-back nights on the road and you have tests in your AP classes. The problem comes when you get into the regional finals You go on the road in a hostile environment, and you got to travel, and your routines are disrupted. So prepare now for adversity later, right? So expectations are a problem. Expectations can weigh you down, right? So I look at the logo, I look at all the banners in this room, I look at all the facilities and things that you have, and what that is that's a legacy of people that have come before you. See, they laid the groundwork for that, but they're not walking in the door. They can't play anymore. So they created a legacy that you want to be a part of. And it's not just about carrying that legacy on, it's about taking the legacy to the next level. See, the other thing I used to tell my athletes is, it's not you versus the other person, it's you versus yesterday. How you left this building versus how you're going to walk in the building today. That's what you did yesterday. How do we take it to the next level? And when every single person does that, then you get a collective of people that are really, really, really difficult to beat. See, that's the thing you have to understand. It's you versus the mirror. It's always holding yourself accountable. It's always being responsible. There's nobody to tell lies to in the darkness of your own bathroom. It's you versus the mirror. It's you versus yesterday. Don't make excuses. Accidents happen. Play 1,000 miles an hour and make mistakes aggressively and violently. But you try to take it on yourself. We have 1 player, 2 players, 5 players, all trying to take care of themselves, all trying to face the person in the mirror, all trying to bring the standard to the next level, or just living up to expectations. It doesn't work. In fact, it's not enough to do what your opponents are doing to prepare. We did as much as Choctaw today. We did as much as Catholic today. We did as much as Washington today. Okay. I hope you're more talented. I hope you're deeper. I hope you're more prepared. I hope you got it right here. I hope you're tough enough. No, it's not enough to do as much. You have to raise the standard or expectation. So someday when people who are younger than you, years after you come through, are walking through this door and we're having this conversation about you all and the standard that you set, be the only group that ever won a ring and have your year hanging on the wall. See, that's special. That's different. But look, I brought a prop. Let me demonstrate what I'm talking about, okay? So I need 1 volunteer. Okay, walk on up.
Come on, crazy. I saw you. I saw that.
There you see. Don't drop it on the floor. Don't go. Volleyball coaches look the other way.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a metaphor. This cement cinder block is a metaphor for the weight of expectations and a culture that you just are the recipient of. A culture that you didn't help create, a culture that you walked into. And so one person trying to hold up the expectations in the culture, maybe she can do it by herself. Maybe she can do it for a little while. Maybe she can walk back and forth and take a couple laps. But eventually what's going to happen? She's going to get tired. Because the season's long. And it's a grind. So who's going to help her? Where are they? Sitting in a plastic chair. Let me get 1 more volunteer. Just 1 more. Just 1 more. Share the load with her. You get one side, you get one side. See, what happens here is now we're dispersing the load. We're dispersing the load of a long season. We're dispersing the load of expectations. We're dispersing the load. So she's not carried, she's doing half as much. See, you don't have to do everything. You have a role. You have a job. When you do your job, she does her job, the team wins. It doesn't help the team if she falls out because she's doing everything by herself. 2 is good, 3 is better. Let me have 1 more volunteer. Walk up there. Let's do 4. Let me have 1 more volunteer. All right, now we're not just carrying the load. We're not just walking in the building and meeting expectations. Lift that up as high as you can lift it up.
Without dropping.
Now we've raised the standard of expectation. You see what I'm saying? And if everybody in here is holding that, you're walking back and forth. But now watch what happens though. If I asked all of you to come down here and help with that block, some of you would realize really quickly, I just have 1 finger on this block. They don't really need me that much. And you start to slack. Is it getting heavy yet, ladies? They could use another set of hands. Let me get 1 more volunteer. Go help them carry the load. So you see what I'm saying there? The problem is you get a lot of people committed early on. There you go. Don't drop it on her head. That's the last thing we need is a concussion in my demonstration. You know what? You can put it down. It's freaking me out. You can put it down. You can put it down. I think we've made our metaphorical illustration here. So, but think about this. If every one of you is carrying that block, If every one of you is doing what we asked you to do, if every one of you is elevating your game, competing with the person in the mirror, making a commitment to excellence every single day, I'm going to take care of business, I'm going to do my part, I'm going to carry my 1/16 or whatever it is of the weight of that block. But you got to hang on to it. You can't decide because I'm holding one little corner and she's holding a bigger corner that they don't need me because one person lets go and starts to do their own thing. Then another person lets go and starts to do their own thing. And before we know it, we got 3 captains holding the weight of the entire program again. And guess what's going to happen before the end of the season? That block is going to get dropped. And it's a good season. Had a great time. Love y'all. Tears. Almost made it. Almost. Talented enough, not enough buy-in, a little bit of fizzle out, right? So I think you get the point I'm trying to make. So what I want you to understand is there are things that you have the choice to do, but you have to think about what those entail. You have to define for yourself what is effort. What can I do in any given moment? Dive for every ball, in every single scrimmage. Because that's commitment, and you're preparing your body, and you're preparing your reaction times. Because that's what it is. What you do on the practice court is what you're going to do when there's people in the stands. That's just the reality of the situation. You can't have 2 different speeds. You got to have one speed. You got to practice like you play. Because you never know when it's going to end. And you never know what moment's going to be the moment that puts you over the edge. What moment's going to be the one that gets you looked at by the other coaches, and you're going to get an opportunity to carry a bigger piece of the block. See, there is an individual component to this. It's not just a team sport. No sport is just a team sport because the team and the organization depends on all of the members to also take care of their own end of the bargain. And that's your end of the bargain. Your end of the bargain is to be supported. Your end of the bargain is to buy in. Your end of the bargain is to take care of your body. Your end of the bargain is to balance your time. And I got news for you. You can tell us that you're passionate about this. But your actions are going to tell us if you really are passionate about this. Because if this is important, you make sacrifices for it. If this is something that you value, if this is something that you care about, if this is a goal that you have as a team, there don't need to be any coaches around. You can talk to each other in the locker room with no adults in the room, and you decide how far you want to go. And don't be weird and cheesy about it. Take it seriously. We're going to carry the block. We're going to go as far as this team is capable of going. Let's travel and travel and travel and travel and travel and travel and travel until we come home with a piece of hardware. T-shirts are nice. Jewelry is forever. Glory is forever. Your name on the wall, they'll never take it down. That's something they can't take away from you, right? I want you to understand that. It is about you, but it's about you handling your end of the bargain. And it's about committing to supporting everybody else on the same mission. See, if what you're doing in practice is not encouraging and beneficial and making people better, it's toxic, right? And it happens. We all have moments of weakness, again, but that's part of balancing your life. You're stressed out, you're upset, you got a lot on your plate. It happens, and then all of a sudden you have a bad day of practice. It spills over into the locker room. We get an argument the day before a big district game. That's on you. Because on August 17th, I told you it's going to happen. So you got time to prepare. Put everything in its place. Keep everything important. When it's your turn, when it's your chance, you'll get to carry a bigger piece of the block. I promise you that. I promise you that. And listen, the sky's the limit with this group. I'm very, very, very excited. Sometimes when you speak to teams, you gotta really think of stuff that you're gonna say, because you're just not confident that it's gonna turn out well. But I'm being serious when I tell you, there is no reason why you cannot win the whole thing. The whole thing. You got size, you have chemistry, you have speed, you have athleticism, you have depth. Those are the things it takes to win in the long season, in any sport. So listen, I'm excited for you. I appreciate the attention. I know you just want to play volleyball. Somebody ran a long time, so I didn't get to start. So I'm just saying, it's her show. But I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for letting me come and talk. Thank you. You guys have been sitting there for 7 hours, so thank you.